Hello YouTube, Josh here on Truth Again, and today I just want to talk about the releases from the 17th of August. Now, the first release was the Equalizer 2, the first one I saw. And the Equalizer 2, I saw this one early on, like, when was it early? It was like 8th, I think it was the 8th I saw it. And it was an unlimited screening, and I must say, I did not like this film. I thought it just felt messy. Too much of it just felt unnecessary, and even though it was necessary, it just felt shoehorned in. There were bits that just didn't feel necessary whatsoever, and even the action just felt sloppily directed. Like, it was sort of, it was sort of shaky almost, it felt, and I just didn't like it. This film, also, the reason this film I don't think is one of the worst of the year is because it's saved by the fact that, first of all, apart from the fact that it's just slow and boring for a lot of it, it doesn't necessarily it's a bit messy. It doesn't necessarily do much particularly bad. Like, none of the actors give bad performances, and the special effects, while they're not amazing, I didn't think they were particularly bad. I thought visually, when this film works, it works, but a lot of the time it doesn't. Now, there are two scenes I do want to talk about, though. One is just Denzel Washington acting with this kid Miles. Oh, it was Denzel Washington and the kid Miles. The acting in this scene was phenomenal. This scene had me gripped. I absolutely loved it. And there was another scene later on with Miles, who, by the way, Miles is a character I really like. Like, I thought he was an amazing character. Not amazing, but I really liked him. I thought he was just a really great character. There was another scene where he's in Robert McCall's house, and he's painting the walls, and some people come after him, or come looking for Robert in the house. And this scene, oh my god, it was phenomenal. It was so tense, and it had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. I thoroughly enjoyed them two scenes, and I also thought none of the acting was really bad, and I really liked seeing Robert McCall and Miles. I thought when they were together, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Not as good as them two scenes, but it was good. But yeah, ultimately this film falls pretty much when it's trying to tell a story other than the one of Robert and Miles. So I'm going to give this film a 6.2 out of 10. Which for me is negative. I know for a lot of people that's still positive, that's negative for me. So yeah, the next release I saw was The Festival. I had a lot of fun with this film. I actually really enjoyed this. I thought it was well paced. I really enjoyed the comedy. I thought it was really funny at times. I enjoyed the performances as well. Joe Thomas is Simon from The Inbetweeners. I know, alright, Nick Taylor or Simon, they're the same person. But he does it really well. I mean, I can't fault him. The film really though gets by on its supporting cast. Everybody else elevates this film, whether it be the character of Shane or the character of, what was her name? I think it was Amy. I can't remember the person that they meet on the train on the way there. I thought that worked really well. And yeah, it was all of the side characters that kept this film entertaining. And it was just great seeing their chemistry. And one problem I do have with the film, though, is that everyone keeps calling the character of Nick selfish. And yeah, it just doesn't show until sort of the halfway mark. Sort of like halfway through the film, we start to see he's a little bit selfish. But I don't really see that throughout the rest of the film. Oh, sorry. Sorry, it's like 2 o'clock it's like between 2 and half 2 in the morning. So yeah, they were great. It was great seeing the characters, but I didn't really see that Nick was selfish until sort of the halfway point. But yeah, I thought this film was really funny. It does dip into surrealist humour and I think it works. It really does. Like, it just really brings out the weirdness that can happen at a festival. And I've never been to a festival, but the festival makes me want to go to a festival. Ironically enough, even though it portrays it as living hell. So, the next release I saw was Christopher Robin, and yeah, it was a good film. Not as great as I'd hoped it could be, or not as bad as I expected it to be. Like, I thought this could be great, but the color grading was really a huge turn off. The film just looked ugly. From a colors perspective, nothing popped. And the same can be said, and the same can be said for the film, not just the trailers. The colors do not pop at all. It just feels very boring, like the visually. And not all of the cinematography is amazing. Like in the opening scene, I thought like the first, like when we see child Christopher Robin, I thought that was all fantastic. That was like really sweet, really tender, really like almost sad, like the way that he's saying goodbye to everybody. However, I just didn't like the sort of, I didn't like the cinematography in one of these scenes. It it focused a lot under the table for some reason. There was a lot of shots under the table, and that's not what we came to see. We didn't come to see Piglet's feet. We came to see like the cast of Winnie the Pooh, and yeah, I don't know why I didn't like the under the I didn't like the the under the table shots. Sorry again. The color grading also wasn't as bad as the trailers. Like, I think I already mentioned it, but the color grading just wasn't as horrible. It just didn't look as bad. Still looked quite bad, and there was a sequence that I just thought was particularly nasty to look at when they're in the 100-acre woods. I just thought it was particularly nasty to look at because of, well, it just was so foggy, and I even mentioned how gloomy it looks. The film is surprisingly funny, however. There were moments that got a huge laugh out of me. Eeyore was particularly hilarious. He was so cynical, and I loved it. You just don't see that kind of cynicism from a Disney film much. And there was also a bit where they're at this train station and Winnie the Pooh goes missing. It's only a few minutes. It's only like a minute scene. Not even that, maybe. But the way it's handled and the way it pans out and the way it plays out, oh my god, I died laughing. It just didn't seem something out of a Disney film. It seemed something out of more of a Seth MacFarlane thing. And I don't get why more people aren't talking about it. You'll know the scene when you see it where he has to find Winnie the Pooh and Winnie's got the red balloon. But, oh my god, this felt like it was from a Seth MacFarlane thing. And it was so funny as well because I just didn't see it coming. There were a lot of sort of like this film's humor is actually surprisingly dark, like at times. Like this film doesn't really feel like it's aimed at kids. Yeah, like there's a war scene, and there's many times where the humor gets surprisingly dark. However, the film also does this slapstick thing towards the beginning. Like there's a few scenes where it's like ridiculous slapstick, and they didn't really work for me. I also found like a lot of Winnie the Pooh's humour just didn't work. So, I mean, that sort of you could say is aimed at kids, but it just didn't feel like it was aimed at kids. The film's pacing also is something I want to talk about. A lot of people have said the film is too slow. I actually thought the film was pleasantly quick up until the climax. Like the climax, it sort of just like felt like it grinded to a halt. Like not to a halt, but just slowed down quite a lot. But I think the pacing issues are more towards the end. Like the film felt quite quick until the end. And yeah, I wasn't as bored as I thought I would be. But it was a film where I was checking the time, like because and that was actually when I was pleasantly surprised at how far through the film we were. It wasn't a film like Mary Magdalene where it felt like it was a really slow pace 20 minutes in, but really we're an hour through. It sort of felt like, wow, we might actually be an hour through, and we were an hour through. is something rare, almost don't see in films often. So yeah, that was all the releases from. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna give Christopher Robin a 7.5 out of 10. Also, forgot to give a rating to the festival. I'm gonna give the festival a 8.6 out of 10. Also, one more thing, because I know this releases tomorrow, but The Spy Who Dumped Me, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the performances. Kate McKinnon, a few people said she gets on their nerves. She didn't really get on my nerves. I thought she was decent. I thought she was good in the film. She never really annoyed me. And then I also really enjoyed. I really enjoyed everyone's performances. This film was also really funny. I thoroughly enjoyed the humor in this film. And then there was also the action, which was a huge standout. It was actually surprisingly really well. There was really good. There was an amazing car chase sequence, sort of like towards the middle of the film, like the sort of maybe close to the beginning, and it was really good. The one thing I will fault this film for is the editing of the opening scene felt a little bit meh. It's sort of trying to combine two opening scenes. It didn't work. Plus the color grading in one bit of it just felt off. Like, wow, this film was so grey. This scene alone is so grey. Yet the rest of the film has very bright and vibrant colours. The film also gets surprisingly convoluted towards the end. Like, they establish in the beginning that they don't know who to trust. But my god, this film just shows you, like, it gives you no indication of who to trust. And it's kind of frustrating a little bit. I didn't really like it. Also, it was a little bit too predictable. Like, even though it was convoluted, I kind of predicted a few things. I mean, towards the end, I had no clue what was going on. Like, there were times where I had not no clue, but I had kind of not much clue. Also, the bad guys in this film felt very limited. Like, one character had sort of a tragic backstory. One character had, I don't know, the other two villains were just pointless. One villain there was a few villains in this film, and yeah, I didn't love the villains. They felt like good opposing forces, but the real stars, Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon, they both stole the show and were amazing. Sebastian was also a great character, and I just thought this film was fun. The writing, the acting, the action, the comedy, it was all fun. The biggest problem, and it really would have elevated the film to a whole nother level of greatness if we just had a slightly less convoluted plot and better villains. I'm going to give this film an 8.9 out of 10, however. I still really enjoy this film. I definitely recommend you guys see it. It comes out tomorrow, so definitely go and see this film. The Spy Who Dumped Me is amazing. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe, and tell me what you think of this. Do you like the longer videos where I discuss like 4 or 5 films that released, or 3 or 4 films that released, or do you want me to stick to doing the individual ones? Just let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed this video, guys, please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.